Welcome to another episode.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I know you missed us. We're cool people.
We missed you too.
Today we got a really cool topic. I think Grant's excited about this one, and the topic is death of the smash yourself type of training. So no more do we do the HIIT training, no more do we do the overload, no more do we do the train till failure type training. The industry has moved away from that, and now we focus on more longevity type training, and I think that's really great, because now no longer are we training just for the sake of training. We're training for goals and outcomes.
So I think the smash yourself training for me, it's I see it more as constantly working to outright failure, to the point where it's just exhaustion all the time. And don't get me wrong, you 100% need to have times in your training where you are absolutely murdering yourself. Like, you can't know where your limit is until you reach your limit. There is a downside to that, which is fatigue. And that's where you can really run into trouble constantly working till failure until you're absolutely flat out. Is that along the way something is going to give out at some point. So what we see is, if we put in a scale of 1 to 10, from 8, 9, and 10, we see progression. So you can gain results from training slightly under failure. It's just going to help you in the long run make things more sustainable for your body and psychologically more sustainable. I really believe that the super hard graft all the time, it works really well from a sales point of view of different products, because 100% working at that kind of work rate flat out for a good period of time is gonna get you some great results. No argument on that. The downside is you're also going to be incredibly fatigued, incredibly taxed from that point, and so for the long term look, it's not the best approach. I know that from experience, not just from weight training, but from an earlier sport in my life being swimming. Super intense all the time. And again, measurable improvement, but serious damage, good damage to the shoulders, and outside even from the physical aspect, psychologically just burnt out. Like, totally got uninterested in the sport, because there is a point where it takes away from the enjoyment. Because again, when your focus is only just driving super hard all the time, and your body starts to get fatigued, and all of a sudden you're pushing really hard and you are underperforming what you were, you start to get disinterested, because eventually that just takes a toll as well of you're telling yourself you're working harder than ever, but your results are lacking. So knowing when to push, knowing when to take your foot off the pedal and a little bit onto the brake is really important if you're wanting this for the long run. I will always say, for certain specific short-term goals, there is a part where a little bit of suck it up towards the end. But if we look at it from a whole year, which I think is really important, that's why we look at the concept of periodization. Take periodization into account, you're not going to be going flat out all the time. There are different, even within weight training, there's different skill sets within strength training you need to acquire to become better. It's not just always more load is the end goal, but there are different ways to get to that more load. And so making sure you have a pretty broad skill set is really important. And I think the long journey is the important one.
I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but training almost like reps in reserve type training.
100%.
And a lot of times if you use a training app or whatever, you will see in the app it talks about RIR, which is reps in reserve, and that's training to a certain rep range in a certain percentage, right?
100%, yeah.
And that way you can prevent injury, prevent that fatigue, that burnout feeling, and you can actually now a program what you could have only done for 3 weeks, you can push it to 6 to 8 weeks without killing yourself. yes, like Ron says, there are times where you want to train really, really hard. I think let's look at a boxer who's getting ready for a fight, He needs to
100%.
go through some really hard training sessions to be mentally and physically prepared to go into a ring. But if you're someone like myself that does powerlifting, you're not going to use the same approach, because by the time you get to the powerlifting comp, you're going to be completely burnt out and you're not going to perform. You might even perform worse than prior to the training program. So that's why death to training incredibly hard all the time. It is really situational. But again, everything in exercise is situational. And that's the beauty of it. There's not many wrong or right ways. There's just the right way for you and for what your particular goal is.
And I think, again, especially like where it said it's not an excuse to not train hard. I think Kim touched on a really important part there, which was like the mental strength aspect. Definitely for the sessions to push yourself to where like, you feel like you want to throw up or you do throw up. Also super important for the mental aspect. So again, both sides of the coin, important to have sustainable training where you're not grinding sessions out all the time, but still have to, every once in a while, make sure you have a session where you wish you hadn't done it because you need to explore your limits and mentally learn how to push yourself. I think that, because that is the risk of training like within that RPE 8 zone and or RRR training and RPE training. The risk is you get a little bit too comfortable. So you could technically always stay within that RPE zone of under 10, but still really important to get yourself to a 10 out of 10 or aim for an 11 out of 10 every once in a while, because you need to test your mettle in a sense.
And again, we're looking at this like from a performance aspect, but you could also look at it from a situational aspect. You're not going to get a 70-year-old person coming in and pushing them to extreme failure. You're going to really progress their training quite slowly. I mean, you can get strong with a let's not push too hard approach. I mean, I think your dad is a phenomenal example of building strength in a nice lower...
in a sub-maximal sense. So especially like depending on your population. So as you mentioned, my father was sitting with a COPD patient with a couple of surgeries on the lungs where he is left with very little lung tissue. Left lung is basically non-existent. Right lung is basically half the tissue left. Can't make a guy like that push to absolute failure, muscular failure especially, and that's because his lungs are tapping out far before his muscles do. From a lifestyle point of view and a daily function point of view, we've made immense progress with him from sub-maximal training. So time and place for it all, depends on the goals, but definitely don't hammer it down all the time, every session. I know, especially when you're young, we've all been there. I was 20 odd years old and all I did was smash in the gym, and there were proper consequences. And again, consequences, like for me personally, it took like a good year and a half, 2 years before I really ran into serious trouble. But I still ran into trouble, and that's forced me as well to look at how I need to do things differently. And I was a real idiot at that time, because I mean, this is something that again I was getting a degree in, and I had all the knowledge in front of me, but told myself I'm the chosen one, so I don't apply. And I think that's actually maybe where some of the real Smash Yourself training comes from, is from looking at top people in industries, top people in rugby, top people in fighting, top people in bodybuilding, top people in powerlifting, the outliers. There's a real risk to looking at how outliers train, and there are a number of outliers that can just operate at a level the regular person can't. And we kind of sometimes get into the trap also convincing ourselves we're an outlier, instead of first just starting with the basics, and then once that's doing well, take moments to explore whether or not you'll even know, like, just trust me, if you're an outlier, the basics are going to work exceptionally well for you. So either way, whether you're an outlier or not, doing things a good steady way is never a bad idea. You can always over time start to explore where limits are. But yeah, I think conservative is never a bad thing. Conservative doesn't mean easy. It just means sustainable.
Now I'll touch base on the outlier comment. So people think I'm an outlier because of the way I bench. And I don't bench crazy, like in the sense of train hard for benching. My training for benching is actually really controlled, very minimal work because my joints and that can't handle it. But a lot of people think, oh, I must probably be benching 3-4 times a week. No, sometimes it's once a week, sometimes it's once every second week. Just because the performance is great doesn't necessarily mean the training is as hard as the results from the training in the performance.
And I think Kim is an example of what normal standardized training can do for an outlier. Like if you're an outlier, you've got an innate ability. Like you've got some special stuff about you, and you don't have to then go on top of that. Normal standard basic work will work for you and make it a more sustainable goal as well, and get you staying in it for longer.
Yeah. So the message to take away: don't kill yourself all the time in the gym. Look at what the goal is, plan according to the goal, and yes, challenge yourself from time to time with a hard session. Hard in the sense of you got your lungs racing, you're sweating like crazy, because it actually does do wonders for the brain, for the mind, for your endorphin release. But know that you cannot always consistently do the heart pumping stuff all the time. Yeah, and if you don't know how to program your coaching, or how to program your programming so that you don't overdo it, or if you don't underdo it, then that's why you have coaches available. And there are so many good coaches out there. So yeah, you don't have to kill yourself in the gym.
All the time, at least.
All the time, yeah.
From time to time, you must.
Yeah, it's good for the heart. Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, till next time.
Perfect. Cheers.
Bye.